We are now live on both Facebook and on Zoom.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Dr. Sullivan. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May 25th, 2022 meeting of the Class School Committee. Would all members that are present please indicate so in roll call? Mr. Dial is not currently present. Mr. Kearney?
Present.
Mr. Carr?
Present.
Ms. St. Ange is not present tonight. She's sick. I am present, Craig McClellan. That gives a quorum of 3 voting members of the school committee. So we will call the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. We have been back in person for some time. What we had not done yet is reinstitute the Pledge of Allegiance. And that is something that we needed to do, and we are going to do that tonight. So I'd ask that everyone that is able and willing to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I think Dr. Sullivan set up a flag right there, off screen for those of you at home, but that's cool. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice to do that again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Game one.
Mr. Stanley, I know, was waiting for that to come back, so.
In the future, Mr. McClellan, maybe we could have our school committee liaisons lead us in the pledge.
Oh, that'd be good. That might be a good idea, yeah. Might be a good idea.
Just to add some more pressure to you. Your world.
Okay.
Many of them hadn't been here in a in-person meeting until.
That's correct.
So this would be the first time that we did that in person. We'll move into public comment. We will be, of course, acknowledging recent events in Uvalde, Texas, but we do have some kindergarten students presenting tonight on a happier note. So we are going to address that. They're outside. They'll be in here momentarily. So before we get into any discussions of that tragedy, we'll have the sort of happy presentation from the sixth graders, or excuse me, the kindergarten students, the 6-year-olds, in order to manage shorter attention spans and not have them being sitting in here listening to adults, but also managing the content that's coming to their ears necessarily suitable for their age group. So we will be doing that. And we will absolutely acknowledge that and be discussing that. And I mentioned that at this public comment point because I always state that public comment is reserved for discussion points or topics that are not related to something that's on the agenda. Obviously, school security or safety or that event is not on the agenda tonight, and we're happy to to field any sort of comments about that. But that will be the one thing that we will revisit after the public comment section. I usually state that now is your time to raise any issues that aren't on the agenda, and then after we pass this point, there won't be an ability to do that again until the next meeting. If you have a comment that's related to school safety or security or something related to recent events, you can hold on to that until we get past the kindergarten presentation, and then we can address that. Otherwise, if you have anything else that's not related to something on the agenda, I'd ask you to please raise that issue now in public comment. There is no one in person in the room tonight at the meeting, so this would be all virtual. So if you are participating virtually and using Zoom, then you can utilize the Q&A feature on Zoom to make public comment at this time. And again, if it's related to something on the agenda, just wait until we get there. Or if it's related to recent events, please wait until we get past the kindergarten presentation that we have scheduled for tonight. So just give everyone a few seconds to do that. And hopefully someone, maybe Dr. Scollins is usually monitoring this. We'll just see if there are any comments that are made. Okay, none?
Not right now.
All right, so we'll move on. We'll move right into the superintendent's report. Dr. Sullivan, I guess we have also Mercedes O'Neill, our student representative,
We do.
but I will turn the meeting over to you for now to begin the superintendent's report. Again, if we can, and again, we're going to acknowledge recent events, but we're not going to do that just yet. I want to get to the kindergarten presentation. So Dr. Sullivan, thank you.
Wonderful. I just want to begin by issuing a very warm welcome to Mr. Carr, who I had the pleasure of meeting with today, and he's super involved, has been with Cohasset town government, and continues that. Has 2 wonderful daughters at the high school, and very fortunate to have you with us. So thank you, Mr. Carr, for being here. And yes, as you mentioned, Chair McClellan, we have our wonderful school committee liaison, Mercedes O'Neill. So I think it's probably a great time to introduce Mercedes to give us some updates from as always, from a student perspective, as the year's kind of moving quickly now, I would say, and a lot of things happening. So we have our guests coming in. You can sit right up here, Chief Dockery and Firefighter Nadeau, right in any spot that Ms. Stillman sees fit for our guests to fit. We have all of you in the front row.
Awesome.
Yes. Maybe kids in the center, that's what I was thinking. Look at you guys. Your fire hats. You have some, this is gonna be wonderful. Miss Kennedy, thank you. Banner. I think this would be impossible for Mercedes to carry on when our honored guests are coming in like this. Sure, yeah, so right there on the floor would be great. Oh, you guys look awesome. Very exciting. All right, so now, and parents, you can obviously get your photos, but you can obviously sit behind your students whenever you would like to. But no, just take your time. No rush on that. Mercedes, I'm sorry for the delay. I will turn it over to you now for your update from a student's perspective.
Yeah, so today was the last day for our seniors, and it was really bittersweet. We're all excited. We listened in my calc class today about each college and what they're majoring in. And the seniors walked down the halls, and all the teachers and students clapped for them. So it was really
So sorry.
it's all right. It was a really sweet day, and everyone took photos, and it's very sad to see our seniors go. I think they had known as ice cream come as well. I saw that out the window.
Love it.
And then the other night we had arts night. So I think our a cappella performed and all the chorus and bands, and the artwork was up for everyone to walk around and see, which was really nice. The entire senior cast and down some of the halls had lots of artwork. And then we're all looking forward to the end of the school year. The weather's been nice, and a lot of the students have been utilizing the courtyards, and it's beautiful to have the warm weather. And our AP exams are all over now, so the stress is off a little more. Some of our classes are having finals, which is sparking a little bit of discomfort among some of the students because they already took the exam, but the stress is off for that. So we're all excited for the end of the year. And yeah.
Wonderful. That's
Great.
great.
Yeah.
Big night tomorrow too, right? Tomorrow night, isn't that prom?
Oh yeah, tomorrow night is the prom for the seniors. How can I forget?
But I can update on a few other events happening if you want, or would you rather go to the kindergarten?
Sure, yeah, sure.
Yeah, we keep it short. But yes, as Mercedes said, we had the senior clap out was tremendous, and just to describe that, it literally are the seniors walking around the halls here and all of our staff applauding them for their, this is an amazing senior class. I've got to know them a bit. They've had certainly an atypical run through high school, but have just finished so strong. They're a great group that's going to achieve wonderful things, and it's going to be great to celebrate them over the next week. Obviously, concluding with our graduation on Saturday the 4th. And then we had a few wonderful events at Osgood, and I saw all of you, our guests here, singing today. You guys were great, sang some wonderful songs. It was almost impossible not to sing along with you guys. But there was a kindergarten performance, a first grade performance, and a second grade performance, and it was just wonderful. I did update on some of the events that are upcoming in the newsletter this past week. I'll keep that in this coming newsletter. But each of our schools has wonderful events planned for the remainder of the year. We have our transitions happening full force. And again, we have a lot of transitions. You have preschool to kindergarten, or for those who didn't do our preschool, into kindergarten. And then you have second grade into third grade. You have fifth grade into sixth grade. You have eighth grade into ninth grade. And then, of course, we're transitioning our seniors into the college or the world that they'll be entering. So there's a lot of wonderful things happening. And I'm proud to say we've really created a system that is making sure that these are comprehensive activities happening between each level. One of those is happening on June 7th, Osgood Deer Hill. We're having a Zoom transition for parents. Moving from second grade, students moving from second grade into third grade. So I know both Principal Farrell and Principal Sullivan will be highlighting that in the newsletters. We have our Osgood Arts Night on the 9th of June. And we've been so lucky, as Mercedes said, we had a wonderful arts night here at the middle high school. We had a lovely one a few weeks ago at Deer Hill, and we're very excited for our Osgood one on the 9th. We have a tradition at Osgood, the Snapper Sneaker Day. And apparently that has something to do with a turtle, I'm told, and a sneaker. So I don't know much more about that, but there's a name there that's stuck. And that's a wonderful celebration of our students that's happening on the 22nd and the 23rd. And then for our second graders on the 28th. And then, of course, we have a second grade picnic that's happening on the 28th as well, that families are invited to. So really wonderful. We have our outdoor spring band and chorus concert at Deer Hill happening on the 2nd of June. We have a diversity, inclusivity and kindness assembly with an author named John Miller happening on the 3rd. We have our CEF spelling bee, and Dr. Scollins and I will be judges, and hopefully hopefully you can spell better than I can. I can definitely not be the greatest judge at times in that particular area, but that's happening on the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. And thank you, CEF, for all your work you do to sponsor that every year. We have an Audubon Workshop happening for 5th grade on the 7th and the 8th. We have a field trip to Franklin Park Zoo for grade 4 on the 14th. We have part of our transition grade 5 visits the middle school on the 17th. And then we have a wonderful field day in 5th grade send off on the 21st and 24th. We have many other activities happening at the middle school, some field trips happening. We have a civics field trip that's happening in Boston that should be wonderful. Senator O'Connor is helping with that. We did have a wonderful guest speaker at the middle school named Kelsey Tench, who spoke about some of her perseverance going through life after overcoming a stroke. And she's a young woman herself, but she's accomplished a great many things and really showed the students how they could overcome anything that was in their way. And then, of course, at our high school, we have some incredible events happening, including, if I can find them, including the prom, which again, Mercedes said is happening tomorrow night at South Shore Country Club. We have a red carpet event happening down in the center of town for the students who are attending the prom. And we have a class day on the 31st, presentation of yearbooks on the 1st. We have our senior video class night happening on the 2nd. And we have our graduation rehearsal on the 3rd, and of course our wonderful graduation happening on the 4th at the Social Music Service. So you got it. Some amazing events happening. And that was my signal to stop my update and to transition over to our amazing kindergarten students.
Before you get heckled.
Exactly.
Thank you. So welcome, Ms. Stillman, Ms. Kennedy, and your wonderful little friends here.
And I want to try, we do have Principal Farrell joining us via Zoom. So Principal Farrell, if you can unmute and start your camera, that would be wonderful.
I can unmute, and I just need help with my camera. Could you unmute start the video?
Yeah, and try. Here we go.
Excellent.
There's
Thank you.
Principal Farrell. Okay, wonderful. And Principal Farrell, I know we have some amazing guests, not only our students, but, and I do want to start by just congratulating Chief Dockery for his ascension to Fire Chief, very well deserved. We are incredibly fortunate to have Chief Dockery working with the schools, and of course we have firefighter Nadeau here.
Lieutenant Nadeau.
Lieutenant Nadeau.
Yeah.
Thank you. I apologize for that. And also, a thank you to former Chief Sylvia, who did such wonderful work. But we are so lucky to have our first responders work so closely with us and to protect us. And Chief Dockery and Lieutenant Nadeau are great examples of that. With that, Principal Farrell, I will look at this. We got I feel like a newspaper. I will have Principal Farrell introduce our wonderful guests, who I'm sure you can see. I will make it a little bit easier for everybody to see at home.
Thank you. All right, so good evening and thank you very much for letting us come in this evening and visit with all of you. We're very excited about the events that we've had in the last few days and the last few weeks. Is it okay, Firefighter Bob, if I call you Firefighter Bob?
Of course.
Okay. And it's little difficult. Okay, everybody looks very little, but I think I've got everybody in my vision. So again, congratulations to Chief Dockeray. We appreciate everything you've done as far as reaching out to us and making sure that we have a nice community connection. One of our goals, our strategic goals, was to get more involved with the community and have the community become more a part of the Osgood. And what better part of the Osgood to become involved with other than the kindergarten students. So can I have my kindergarten students wave at me? All right, excellent. I also want to just take a moment to thank the parents for interrupting their busy schedules. I know it's tough to come out at night. Everybody's got their schedules that they like to get home and make sure that everything gets all done, but super excited to share that Firefighter Bob and Firefighter Steve had come out this week to visit. They came out on yesterday, to visit our kindergarten, first grade and second grade students. 2 weeks ago, I believe, Firefighter Bob, you had come out to visit preschool. And you went right into the preschool morning session and the afternoon session. In kindergarten, when you were talking with them, one of the reasons that we were very excited as a staff to have you come out, and it kind of rings true for what's going on, is that we looked at what Fred Rogers has said about community helpers and looking towards people who can help us. And as Mr. Rogers has said, when I was a boy and I would see things in the news, my mom would say to me, look for the helpers. You'll always find people who want to help. And Firefighter Bob was showing us the other day, along with Firefighter Steve, what the helpers look like from the fire department and how to interact with them. So if you don't mind, Firefighter Bob, could you tell us a little bit about the grant? And I know we had talked about how we want to make this moving forward. We want to make it an annual tradition and just kind of growing what you started here this year into a tradition. If you don't mind just sharing a little bit about that and what you talked to the students about, and then we'll have the students tell us their favorite parts.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Farrell. So hi, everybody. Again, I'm Lieutenant Bobby Nato, or Firefighter Bob. And yeah, so fire departments in the communities, we have it's called a SAFE grant. It's a student awareness for fire education. There's one for senior SAFE and for student SAFE. And the SAFE grant allows us firefighters to be able to come to the schools or the daycares or have Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts come to the station and talk about what we do and different ways to be safe depending on the time of year. You can talk about summer emergencies or heat emergencies, or at the very simplest form, it's us showing our awesome kindergartners what we look like if they're in a place where it's an emergency, what we look like in full gear, our full uniform with a mask on. And what I want, the takeaway point I wanted with our students this year was to let them know to not be afraid of us if there is an emergency and they see us like that, but to run towards us because again, we want to make sure our kids are safe. So we thought that this would be a good foundation for these students we can build on. So now they've seen us, we're out there, they know what we look like. We talked about our gear and how it keeps us dry from water pouring on us or safe from fire and heat. But now we basically can build, as I was saying, like talk about home escape plans, and we can talk about 2 ways out of a home in a meeting place, and stop, drop, and roll, as everybody's probably knows about, or like crawling low under smoke. But we wanted to do a foundation work with like having them come out, spray the fire hose, see the ladder truck. We had the ladder move, and the kids were, they loved it. They know it's 100 feet high. And I mean, that's basically my mission with the Cohasset Fire Department, is to educate our young people that we are community helpers and we're friends, and we help them be safe. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Stillman, would you take a moment, please, and just introduce the friends that you brought with you?
All right, so I have Tommy McClellan. Tommy, you want to give a wave? And Zach Burns and Brooke Bottomley.
Nice. Welcome, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mrs. Kennedy, the friends that you brought with you?
Yes, so this is Quinn Lavisi and Emerson Burke.
Thank you. I know you had a difficult time choosing a couple of friends, so I want to thank the friends that came and the parents for bringing them. If Mrs. Stillman and Mrs. Kennedy, if you could just tell us how this fits into your curriculum, the community helpers, and when you might start talking about that, if not already.
So we talk about it throughout the year, really, in kindergarten. It's part of our social studies curriculum. And we're talking about the places in our community as well as the helpers in our community. And we really touch on it throughout the year.
So I actually have in my classroom, Mr. Rogers, look for the helpers in the back of my classroom. And then we do put Post-it notes, just kind of giving children credit for doing something kind and being a good helper. Maybe it's helping someone clean up. Maybe it's helping somebody open up their snack bag, something simple like that. But we do have that in our classroom. There's a big emphasis on kindness.
Excellent, thank you. And to springboard off of that, Firefighter Bob, you were very kind when you came in. You even got down on the floor, as you and I had talked about. The best part of being at the Osgood is everybody is just wonderful to talk to, but it's good to get right down to the kids level, the students level. So I do appreciate that. And as Firefighter Bob had mentioned, the students got to see the whole uniform that was put on and each part was described. Mrs. Stillman and Mrs. Kennedy, I'm so sorry I'm not right there, but could you ask a few students what their favorite parts were, if they could share?
Sure. Emerson, would you like to go first? What was your favorite thing, honey?
When ladder came up.
You liked when the ladder went up? It was really hot. When do you have a favorite?
The map.
You like the ladder too?
Tommy, can you think of something different? How about,
It's gonna be a tough mark, Mrs. Stillman.
I know, how about, what did we learn about the pants and the boots?
Oh, no.
That was fun. What did we learn about the pants and the boots?
Put your boot in the pants.
They have their boots all set up in their pants.
No way.
Why do they do that, Tommy?
Then they can get dressed.
What a great idea, right? And he showed us how to do it. They loved it. Zach, do you remember something?
When we got spray cards.
That was so fun, wasn't it?
Somebody got sprayed.
Oh, that was Mrs. Kennedy's class, I think. Brooke, how about you? What was something you remember? Do you remember, they talked about, oh, what did he showed us that tank. What was that for?
Put it on his phone.
Remember? Do you remember what they used that for? So they could help them breathe, right? When they're on a fire. And do you remember they even had 2 sounds? What did those sounds mean that we listened to? Before he put the tank on his back, he said, listen carefully to these sounds. And if you hear them, it means that what?
Working.
Working, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was such a great presentation and we really
Thank you.
wanted to thank you guys because it was really interactive for our
Thank you.
kindergarten friends. They loved it.
A lot of heavy equipment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Mrs. Stillman said that our friends have a presentation or a gift to give.
Yeah, they worked hard. We've got a couple of friends that are gonna bring it over to the firefighters and
Oh,
the entire kindergarten signed it. Yeah.
Did you guys all sign this?
That's amazing.
Yeah, and maybe is
That's
there
incredible.
someplace I can go?
Can you guys stand behind it?
Oh, you guys all want to stand
Are those a picture?
And really, what we did was we just asked them what they learned. Those are all their words.
That's great. So at home, they can see you a lot better. Because they can manage the thing. Smile, guys, smile. Look at me for a second.
Okay. Just go a little lower so we can.
Oh,
see
yeah,
our
we
see those faces.
Ready, look at me for a second. 1, 2. Awesome.
Count three, ready?
1, 2, 3.
Let's go. Go. We had to do it, let's go yesterday. It was
All
hilarious.
right, now go ahead and give that to these guys and tell them a big thank you.
Oh, that is the best.
Wonderful, guys. So colorful, fun.
Guys, thank you. You're gonna put this on the fire station. I'm gonna take a picture of it next to the fire trucks, so you guys can see it.
Oh, so maybe we can stop in the summer and.
Yeah.
Take a peek at everything that's down
Absolutely.
there.
Do any of you guys think you'll be firefighters? Anybody want to be?
What
Firefighters?
do you think?
Right.
Thank Emerson. Maybe.
Maybe they're more cop guys.
That's a different presentation.
Chief, this is great, isn't it?
That's awesome.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you very much.
I'll be minute.
Anything else, Principal Farrell? or-
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mrs. Kennedy and
Stillman, thank you.
Stillman. Thank you. Thank you, Chief Dockery and Lieutenant Bill. And boys and girls, you guys are wonderful. Thank you, Sadie. Thank you. How do you do?
Give me one more.
You got it.
Thank you very much for having us. Apparently we don't leave quietly. It'd probably be a lot quieter when the Osgood community is gone, but we really appreciate everything that the fire department has done in reaching out with us, and we appreciate the opportunity to come to school committee and present how excited we were. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much, Principal Farrell, for all you do and for fostering that collaboration between our youngest students or amongst our youngest students and staff, and then of course our firefighters. So it's a great example of the collaboration we have, and it's great. And what's wonderful is, they're obviously learning about empathy, about kindness, about social, it's part of the social studies curriculum, but they're also learning who the trusted helpers are in our community, which will certainly pay off as they get older. So thank you again. Have a lovely night. Thanks for all you do, Principal Farrell.
Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Farrell.
Thank you.
All right.
That was great.
Okay. Well, that was a wonderful presentation, and that was a very happy element of tonight's meeting. But I wanted to address early on, not only because of attention span, but like I said in the beginning of the meeting, for those of you just tuning in, we haven't yet acknowledged the tragedy in Uvalde, Texas, and we certainly want to do so. A lot of times people, I did not want to do this in front of the kindergartners. Obviously, this is, adult material, adult subject matter, nothing that someone that's 6 years old needs to be concerned with. But I think oftentimes we acknowledge these through moments of silence. I'm not a big fan of moments of silence. I don't think they really achieve that much. I think this is something that is it's obviously objectively troublesome and terrifying and horrific to anyone, but it's something that honestly plagues me on a regular basis. School safety, it's one of the driving forces behind my running for school committee, and I feel strongly about it. The fact that I feel that these events are preventable, they still happen with regularity in this nation, and I think it's appropriate to remind ourselves of the fragility of human life and the reality of this and the horror, not by having a few seconds of silence, but by acknowledging the names of the individuals that lost their lives that I'm aware of. I don't think all of them have been identified. There were 19 victims, and I know that two of them were teachers, and 12 children have been identified. The names that I have, I would like to read off so that we can all reflect on the seriousness and gravity of this incident and honor them as much as we can in our own minds. Ava Morales was a teacher at this school that was for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade students. Irma Garcia was also a teacher who was last seen shielding children from bullets. Uzziah Garcia, who is 10 years old. Eliana Elijah Cruz Torres. Hyla Silguero. Alexandria Anaya Rubio. Amarie Jo Garza, who is 9 years old. McKenna Lee Elrod. Xavier Javier Lopez, who was 10 years old. I don't have the ages of everyone. Jose Flores. Navia Brown. Annabelle Guadalupe Rodriguez, who was 10 years old. Alithia Ramirez. And Ellie Lugo, also 10 years old. Those are the names that I have, and I thought it was appropriate to recognize everyone, just because I think it's more effective to do so than a moment of silence. It reminds us that these are real lives that were tragically taken and cut very, very short in a lot of cases. Those amazing teachers who spent their final seconds protecting the kids. What we can pledge as a school committee and as a school administration is to continue to be vigilant in all things school safety related. We regularly assess and evaluate the safety measures that are in our district. That's something that the superintendent, in coordination with other officials and public safety officials, we keep an extremely tight relationship with our public safety officials. And we are constantly reviewing our safety plans, our procedures, our protocols, our resources to make sure that tragedies like this do not happen in the Cohasset Public Schools. To that end, I will call an emergency executive session tonight at the end of the meeting to discuss safety, just to review that and where we are with that, and to make sure that it is obviously at the top of the list right now during this terrible time. We obviously want to make sure that nothing like this ever happens in Cohasset. I hope nothing ever happens like this again in the United States of America. But I personally feel like these things are preventable if we take preventative measures. And I think there's some real thought that we need to continue to give to that. I invite any school committee member or any member of the community that would like to be heard on this issue to do so. I think it was appropriate. Obviously this was not anticipated in any way. I think it's appropriate that at a school committee meeting, the first school committee meeting after something like this, we do recognize it. So I invite anyone who wants to say anything to do so, to share any thoughts related to this incident. That includes people that are participating remotely or the school committee members, if Mr. Kearney and Mr. Carr have anything to say as well, or administration.
It's very nicely put. Very nice. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right.
No, I'd just add the thank you for the show of empathy for what those families are going through, and clearly devastating situation. I am very thankful in Cohasset that we have such a wonderful collaboration with our police and first responders. I want to thank them for their help today, to make sure that everybody saw an extra show of police presence in our buildings. We did debrief, you mentioned we do this regularly, but we did have a particular debrief today. Central office staff, and then all of our principals, Chief Bigley, Lieutenant Lopes, and other members of the police force to ensure that, if there were safety measures that needed to be added moving forward, which will include more police presence at events, that we do so. We, as you mentioned, we review regularly. We have Alice, which is a very prominent and productive program that really helps folks react to scenarios that come up in real time. And ALICE is an acronym that means alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and to evacuate. And it's not necessarily linear. And what it teaches, and all of our staff are instructed on this yearly by the Cohasset Police, and that will continue. But it instructs for us to be
giving information as much as we can so that individuals who are hearing the information regarding a situation that could come our way are able to react in a particular fashion based on the information they're receiving. So it's, I just want everyone to know that we do take these things very seriously, as well as making sure we promote social emotional wellness, mental health. And we don't leave anything unturned when it comes to those matters. We take them very seriously. And information and ideas are very welcomed from the community. You know, we want to make sure that we have, so if there's any input that folks have for us, you know, we're very willing and open to hearing that, because we absolutely our number one priority of every single person in our school community is the safety of the students. So, and of course, safety of our staff as well. So those things are just are paramount to us. With that, I don't want to say much more because I don't want to, you know, obviously we have this is a very tough situation and sensitive situation, but I just want to redouble our initiative to make sure that our students and staff are safe and that our families can have faith in that.
Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. Rest assured, we maintain a very close relationship with all the public safety personnel. And you can see that ongoing lessons involving the fire department and the police. We have an excellent school resource officer, and we are always in lockstep during any sort of crisis or exigent circumstance of any nature. So please, everyone should know that we have a very, very close relationship with our police and fire personnel, public safety personnel here in Cohasset, and we will continue to be vigilant on all fronts in terms of school safety. That's a great point. Please do share any thoughts you might have in light of these recent events that may have, you know, got you thinking about school safety. Please share them.
And also, we've tried to be very proactive in and we continue to, and it's a big part of our strategic plan, but just the way we do things with our approach to mental health and work with safe harbors. Our counselors are very engaging, and you know, we're continuing to increase our social emotional supports. That's an important part of this as well. So we're here for folks that need us. I just want to put that out there.
Okay, well, are there any comments on?
There are not.
Okay, so we'll move on, but I thought it was more than appropriate to recognize that in some way, and obviously discuss that. So we'll move on with the regularly scheduled agenda items. So Dr. Sullivan, I don't know if there's anything remaining in the superintendent's report tonight.
There is not.
Okay, so the superintendent's report having been concluded, we'll turn the meeting to, sorry you have to follow that sort of, you know, serious discussion, Ms. Owen, but we'll turn to the finance update. You could present that.
Do you want me to? I'll give you the power to share. How's that? There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, good evening. Yeah, it's kind of hard to follow that, get my thoughts together. This is the monthly report for the month of April, 2022. A lot of it, you know, is just ongoing from month to month. So as of April 30th, we've expended approximately 16 million out of the $21 million dollar budget. Where we've spent 80% of our budget, and we're 83% through the year, so we're still right on target, a little ahead of the game. We've encumbered our supplies and materials right now in the amount of 984,000, which will be expended from now through the end of the school year, and the purchase orders can carry to for August, July, and August. There's a remaining available balance of 4,302,000, which will be used to pay the excuse me, continuing salaries now through the end of June, and any other unanticipated encumbered expense. The sped tuitions. The good news is with sped tuitions, we had reported that we had a shortfall of about $584,000. We were lucky enough, Mr. Long worked very hard to applied for the extraordinary relief from circuit breaker program, and that did award us an additional $249,000, 150, 249, 157. We've applied that to that debit of 584,000, so it's definitely reduced the amount of our shortfall. We did receive that money a few weeks ago. So we've applied it, and you'll see it next month's, it will represent that the shortfall is much smaller. The budget for each individual school are listed here. Osgood is 74% through their budget, Deer Hill 74%, middle school 70%, and high school 75%. So again, we're ahead of the game. We're not spending as fast as the year is going, which is good. Circuit breaker, these are just the circuit breaker numbers. Anyone that doesn't know what circuit breaker is, it's reimbursement for special ed tuitions. The state gives us a percentage reimbursement, which you can see here on the screen. Each year, the last 4 or 5 years, it's been 75%. I've seen it go as low as 42%. It hasn't been that way in a very long time. Hopefully we don't see that again. And like I addressed for FY22, when I wrote this, we hadn't received the money, but we received the 5th payment from circuit breaker due to the extraordinary relief, and we did apply that. So our shortfall is definitely decreased. Our ongoing capital outlay for the current year, not much has changed. We're in a pretty good place for most of them. We have to rebid the Deer Hill in the middle school air handlers. Facilities and I have slowly been working on. They're trying to fill a position that is actually the HVAC expert for the facilities department. So we're kind of waiting on that to help us complete the bid. The track and turf, we went out to bid. We have a company. We're starting discussions. We're just waiting for school to be out so we can begin the project. The woodshop collection was completed. I believe all the door fobs except for one here between central office and the high school is installed and working. The science plumbing lab, that's all going to be done over the summer. Pilot technology, the same, and the Chromebooks and the school bus leases have been completed. And then we get into the requests that we asked for FY23. So this is the list for FY23. It was a much bigger list. However, it was, each department had to reduce or were reduced to a smaller amount just based on the funding available for the whole town. So obviously we have a school bus lease for $90,000, and that leases 8 buses, $75,000 for the middle upgrade to the middle and high school paging systems, $35,000 for replacement of student staff desks at Deer Hill, which we're doing grade levels in a cycle. Then we have the retiling of other classrooms at Deer Hill for $100,000, $60,000 for field lights, $12,500 for the locker mechanisms at the middle school, $20,000 to install the AC heater split in the middle school health clinic as there's no air, there's no windows. And then there's $40,000 to create a hallway at the middle school to access a bathroom in the nurse's office, because there are no gender neutral bathrooms anywhere in that level of the middle school. An update just on our electric and our utility. So these are a month behind. So these are through March. Basically, just because of billing, we don't have the bills yet. But you can see 22 costs compared to 21 costs. We're up 265 versus 222. And same thing with kilowatt years. We use 1.5 this year and 1.4 at this time last year. Similar with the gas, a month behind. So again, you can see the cost through the end of March. We spent $102,000 versus $95,000 last year. Cost of the therms, we've used less therms. We used $164,000 versus $184,000. Obviously, the price of everything goes up, so that's probably a good explanation of why that's the therms are up. And then we have our grants, which we are dwindling down. Most grants end June 30th. The only one that we are carrying into next year is the ESSER 3. So the 220,000 there will cover, the second year of reading,
Reading specialist.
reading specialist, some readers workshop, supplies, materials. Anyways, so that grant will carry over into next year, and we'll have to expend it by June 30th of 2023. The other grant, school improvement, we've already expended. The school sped IDA grant, there's 90,000 left, that will be expended by June 30th. And all the other grants that you see here will be expended by June 30th. And again, our grants help support and employ approximately 14.7 FTEs, which is full-time equivalently. So they do help in funding positions that we need and we can't budget for it, or we don't have the available budgeting for. And the same with revolving accounts, and the revolving accounts are listed here. Revolving account money, if revenue comes in from charging fees or donations, and money goes back out, it has to be expended in the area that it was specified for. So like advanced placement fees, students pay the fees, we pay them back out. PSO and CEF obviously donate quite a bit of money each year, and designate, most times what that money's supposed to be spent on, so you can see that. These funds, all these funds can carry from year to year. There is no, there's no ending in June 30th. They revolve, which is, they carry from year to year. The school athletic, again, we know that the cafeteria revolving accounts have a higher balance. They have big plans for the athletic revolving. The whole fitness center is going to be redone over the summer. So that number you will see greatly reduced, as well as the cafeteria. We're redoing the whole cafeteria in the middle of the high school. We started to put in on menus, on displays. We're going to buy some high tall tables for the senior calves. So those numbers will go down. Kindergarten revolving does have a higher balance. We have started collecting for that, so that balance is somewhat, some of it is for next year, because we have started the collection. And again, the revolving accounts help fund 13.9 personnel whose jobs relate to those accounts. And then we get athletic revolving, what the things that they're doing, the football goals. What we've done some work on Milliken Field, the fitness center. I believe Paul's going to meet and kind of help along with his expertise and get different equipment so it's male and female friendly.
That's great.
Cafeteria revolving, again, like I said, we're redoing the whole serving line. We're creating a snack room upstairs. So that's work to be done over the summer. You'll see big changes come September. Transportation, we have added Stop Finder, which allows parents to know where their child is, where the child's bus is.
That's great.
Stop Finder is the all-in-one parent engagement app designed by parents for parents to keep them in the know. So we're rolling that out as we speak. It's so far going very well. Bus registration has been opened up and we've started collecting already. So you'll see those flyers out there, and forms are on the website. Everything can be paid through My School Bucks. If you go online, it's very user friendly. So at this point in the year, we're pretty close to the end of the year. We're progressing as planned. Like I said, we're 80% expended our budget and we're 83% through the year. So we're pretty much right on target. With this extraordinary relief circuit breaker, I don't see any concerns really with the special education tuitions. It's not uncommon for them to run over each year because they are anticipated. One child can be moved into the district and cost us $200,000. So, but I'm glad to see that it's down from the 500,000. I don't know if there's any questions on any of that.
Any questions, Mr. Carr?
No, excellent job.
Mr. Kearney.
Excellent job, yeah. Well, there's a couple of concerns more than questions. This is great. This is a great presentation. It looks like we're on our way for a lot of things get to be fixed. The only problem that we don't see is what we didn't get, right? I mean, there's furniture that we didn't get. So we had about $500,000 worth of items that we didn't get.
On capital.
So I was just hoping that maybe we could put it out there to just continue to like, let it be known. I feel like it just kind of went away and we're not gonna get it. Well, it still needs to be done. Like, and it needs to be added to, in like, some of the things that we talked about, like, what's with the town and what's with us. I know we did a good job about putting that together about the DPW, who's responsible for what. But there's still things such as the fields, such as outdoor water stations, right? So the kids don't have access to water out on the fields. I would think that maybe we could budget for our football field there to have an outdoor water budget. So
Totally.
I'd like that to be noted. And as far as the parks themselves, and it's tragedy too, because it's a way, it's like, if the kids run out of water, they have nowhere to go at Freedom Field. So having one there, I think that we access the town, or even they don't have boosters, but they have a baseball, softball, CYB. And maybe they could kick in a little bit to get that done, because that needs to be done as well as the scoreboard. So I don't know if I could have the backing of the committee to maybe like ask for a meeting between us and try to see what, because, I go to these fundraisers too for softball and baseball, and there's money there, like, who's in charge of what? I mean, it shouldn't be too difficult to spend $3,500 for a scoreboard so we can see the score of the game. And I speak about Freedom Field right now, but there might be other Millikens, probably needs a water fountain. So like, I think that we should have like our want list out there, right? So anything that we didn't get, that we can want, maybe we can add that to this.
I think it's
And then
crucial.
if any rich donors are out there that want to contribute to that, why not? I mean, if you want to buy an outdoor water fountain for a bunch of kids, I think that's going to be a great thing for you to have. I mean, they can fill up the water bottles, there's water, there are filters in them, they're really well designed. So if we could like put things out there and say, go for a wish list. A math specialist for 100,000 would be good at the high school, but that's something that I think that we should say to the community, this is what we're working on, this is what we need. And if we hear, anything like, well, why aren't you doing this? Well, we are. And if you want to add something to our list, go ahead, because we have a big wish list and we do accept checks.
Crucial to keep our list of budget needs from a capital perspective, but
Right.
also from a school budget.
From the school budget.
Front and center,
Yep,
because it maps our way.
right.
And also the link to our strategic plan is really crucial as well.
Right.
So that's something that we have to continually review and put out there. I firmly agree with you.
Right, and I would say to the community, when you have these concerns and we know what we need, we'd like you to go to some of these budget committee meetings and fight for our kids. They're your kids too. We're all here fighting for your kids.
Yeah.
And there's nobody here. And, I would just like people to just try to get involved and give us, we're a very smart, useful, resourceful, I should say, more than anything, community. We have a lot of resources in this community. And the idea that we have to like beg is terrible. And we need to like let people know this is what we need. We didn't get this stuff. So that's just my 2 cents.
Can I ask you a question about the water? Is it a matter of there isn't a water line out to the area?
So there's a water on our alumni field, there is a water line.
Yeah.
It's working. I don't know what the status of it is.
Yeah.
It's working with the water department to get it turned on, and then I believe there's some repairs that needs to be done with that. But it's something that we should absolutely look into. But then I don't know that there's the water, the ability to access water at some of the other fields. I'm not saying there isn't.
No,
I just don't know.
Yeah,
Particularly the fields that are
Right.
not school, on school property.
right. The only one I know Freedom does, because it used to have a water bubble.
Yeah.
But I don't know about Milk.
Well, Milk is in a residential area, so there's a water main.
Yeah,
Houses are getting
Yeah.
water.
but there clearly has to be communication with the water department. When we talked to DPW, they said that too.
Yeah,
So,
I'd be glad to work with you and I'm glad to talk to the water
Yeah.
department, and let's just figure out if there's maybe we can meet halfway or something, or piggyback on some work that's getting done around here. Maybe they'd be open to that. I mean,
Yeah.
it probably costs less to do it that way or find a solution, but I think at least let's get the infrastructure, figure out what's up with the infrastructure. So I'd be glad to help you.
thank you.
Yes.
particularly if it was the turf and the track are being redone
Yeah.
shortly.
Now's the
Just have
time
a
to
nice
do it.
little
Yeah.
water, outdoor
It's a
water
great
station.
time. And make it a modern one, you know.
Yeah,
with the-
yeah.
I'm assuming like.
Yeah,
a
like the ones we have now. I
You
mean,
got it.
it's nice too, because it's like, I was in Deer Hill the past winter, and it's like, I drink out of a water fountain, you know, like, that's me. And the water tasted great. It was like,
Were the indoor ones, am I remembering correctly, it was a student project originally?
There was a student,
Yeah.
or students who advocated for it with
I see.
the selectman level.
Yeah.
And that actually, I believe, was our first one that we got here. And then I have to give a lot of credit to Mr. Kearney, who really pushed this
That's
idea.
great.
And we were able to replace our.
All of them.
water
Yeah, the
fountains.
student start one got it financed.
That's
Yes,
wonderful, right?
a girl in high school, she's going.
Yes,
she's probably
graduated.
Graduated,
Yeah.
and God bless her.
Yeah.
And that started then we got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and now everyone is.
Student voice, yeah.
It's all done, yeah. So it's these little changes that I gotta say that we have been pretty good about getting things done, and we've been moving the goalposts every year.
We're chipping away at
But
it.
yeah, we really are taking it away. It's great, it's good.
So I have no questions for Ms. Owen. Mr. Kearney, your statement though, gave me pause that, we're always looking at ways to improve our processes here. It's with the school committee. And as you're all aware, every once in a while, we send out messages through the superintendent of schools directly from the school committee. We usually do that when there's, times of, issues of great concern or confusion. We try and weigh in to sort of, help give a little bit of clarification or guidance. But what maybe we should do, because I feel like awareness is the first step, and yeah, nobody's here, and I understand that, everyone has different schedules and we're obligated to be here, but I wonder if we shouldn't start doing a sort of year-end wrap-up, to the community from the school committee, where we issue a sort of, as concise as possible, sort of highlights of what we did, our goals, those were accomplished, those that are outstanding, and then with budget, identify what we were asking for, what we received, what we're still looking at, needs, really just bullet it for people, and they can, I think we can bring them into the fold a little bit more effectively in that manner, if we're bringing the information to them, in a way that, everyone reads the emails that they get from the district, the school community reads those district-wide emails, so I think that would be a really effective tool in communicating or highlighting some areas of major concern, and I think that maybe we should implement that at the end of the school year for the first time this year. And I'd be happy to draft that, not draft it unilaterally, but take the laboring oar, so to speak, in the first run at it, and obviously in coordination, collaboration with all other 4 committee members, see if we can't do something like that. I think it could be
Great.
worthwhile.
Yeah, I agree.
Keep it out
So
there.
you got me thinking about that, Mr. Chairman. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and also too, is it just basically tells people, oh, they're already thinking about that, so they're already on that. Okay, great. And then the more we can find out from the community, the better, because it's like, there's a very smart community out there that want to help.
Sure.
Yeah, ideas, but also there may be someone out there who says, I have a few extra bucks and
Right.
I'd like to donate to have a water fountain,
Right.
I think that's worthwhile. So let's look into that. Anything else from Ms. Owen? Any questions from the community, Dr. Scollins, related to the budget? Okay, Ms. Owen, does that conclude the finance report?
That concludes the finance report. I have a gift. I don't know if you want me to hold that.
That's a topic not reasonably anticipated, which we'll probably get to in about 45 seconds, but.
Okay. That concludes.
Well, now it's reasonably anticipated. I don't know.
We'll,
She might have given it away.
we'll move on to the, into the school committee section. Starting, as usual with the school facilities committee update. There was a meeting last night. I wasn't able to make it. So I don't know what exactly occurred. My guess, though, is given the fact that we just got that statement of interest in, they are likely in the early planning stages of, community forum, trying to get the word out there so that people understand, what direction we're moving in and what we've done so far. But I can't give an update in terms of 100% certainty. It's what was discussed, and I wasn't there, unfortunately. But we will have one next time. This is a standing item on the agenda, so we'll give an update in 2 weeks, and there will not have been another meeting at that point. It'll still be the last meeting. Will have been yesterday. So we'll get that update in more substance to you, school community, at the next meeting. Reports from subcommittee or liaison positions. Mr. Carr, obviously, you don't have any of those yet.
I accept.
Just having joined. Mr. Kearney, I don't know if you have any.
We had a wellness committee that we can get an update about. So I wasn't able to attend to the.
Yeah, we had about half of our team there. We did meet yesterday. As many of you know, we received a grant two years ago, and then we received the second half of the grant through the Department of Ed, and they gave us a health coach to work with us to update our wellness policy. And we had already began to use the tool that they want us to, and then we went through another tool this year, and we chose 3 goals that we wanted to achieve. And so the first one was after school snacks, and I'm hoping, sure, I think I'm able to show this. If you give me,
This is great.
if you give me, there it is. Although we did have a big chuckle over it, I'll tell you what.
All right.
So anyway, what we've come up with is a healthy vending machine, and healthy because it's refrigerated and it can hold a variety of different foods. And so
Wraps
we have,
and stuff.
wraps.
Yeah.
So we're not really sure what
Right.
the students are gonna want. We kind of have an idea.
Yeah.
Some want
We did do a
yogurt,
survey.
some we did a
We
We did
survey.
a survey.
Yes.
So what,
So, so anyway, so it's really exciting. So it is unfortunately still in the middle of the ocean. So it has not gotten here yet, but we are assured it will be here this summer. But this is what it looks like. I just want to make sure.
No, I think we ordered that back in January.
Yeah.
We did. But it's really exciting. It's going to be in the upper lobby by the gym and by the senior caf. And I can share my screen.
You can share it.
And so here it is, right?
Oh, there it is. All right.
And so you can see, I'll make sure you can see it. So that's got the Cohasset logo on it.
Oh, wow.
Really cool.
Wow, that's cool. That's
But we
really
did laugh
cool.
because it's called Healthy, and we noticed that in the picture that they.
Yeah, they got donuts and Coke.
Coke, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we will not be serving.
I
that.
know.
We will not. But it's really nice because the students can use their My School Bucks.
Yeah, and they'll be
and-
able to, they'll be able to swipe
Yep, they'll be able to
that.
swipe,
yeah.
and so, but I think they can also still put money in, is that correct, Ms. Owen, or is it just using their?
No, I think
You can see it.
They can use money too, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
that'd be
that was the
great.
question that came up yesterday, and I didn't have the answer. So, anyway, we're really excited about it, so that'll be up and running for the fall.
Who refilled it?
Our food service.
Great.
And it's all food service,
Freshly
so
made.
everything goes
Okay.
in for
Right.
food
So it's
I was
a
gonna
service.
say it was like the 7-Eleven subs that you're not sure
No,
like
this
which
is
decade.
the
they're
Twinkies,
Yeah.
Twinkies
It's gonna
and
be good stuff. It's gonna
Red
be
Hot
good
Dogs.
stuff.
Right.
Yeah, so we can put fresh fruit in, we
Yeah.
can put yogurt, we
Yeah.
can put cheese sticks, yogurts, we can
Yes.
put wraps.
That's
we
the
can-
idea.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so anyway, we'll have healthy choices for
Yeah,
them, so.
and it's gonna be great for kids doing sports, to Medco kids that are here,
Right.
to.
Anyone.
But even
Anyway,
anyone
yeah,
who comes
I mean,
in,
it's-
like if we have teams coming in, they'll have
Yeah.
the opportunity to, so we'll have to kind of monitor it though, because we'll have to
I
be
think
thinking
it's
about
gonna
when
do
game
well.
days happen and what that's gonna look like.
Yeah,
But really
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
about
make
after
it-
school for the kids,
Yeah.
I'm really
It's a
excited.
good first step.
yeah, that was our first actions.
Yep.
And the coach really coached us along, and that was her last day.
Yeah, it was her last day yesterday,
You wanna
so.
recognize her?
So we thanked her for
Yeah.
being there, and so she was wonderful, and then we will still have Nicole Good out of the Department of Ed, and she's been very helpful. And will work with us and continue to work with us, so, they were actually really thankful for us because we were kind of one of their guinea pigs. So, they have refined their process because of everything we did with them for the past few years, so I was really, really happy about that.
And so,
That's excellent.
and then the
Yeah.
next piece that we're gonna work on is our website, which we're all
Yep.
working, the district is working on that anyway. But we brainstormed things that we thought we would like to see on the website, and so we're gonna pull a small working group together that'll work together over the summer and in conjunction with, with Ms. Radden to update the nutrition
Right.
page and just really make it a little more user friendly. There's things that we weren't doing that we need to do, which is, we have to put our agendas up, we have to put our minutes up from our wellness meeting, so like all those kinds of
That's
things.
good, yeah.
So it's really, really wonderful. We have 3 parents on the committee,
Yeah.
which is amazing. We have students also, but
Yeah.
they all had
I
something to
think
do
that's
with
gonna
today.
take off. That's an
Yeah.
example of
Yeah.
something that we formed.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's running
Dr.
now
Scoggins,
and
thank
now.
you so much, because she's really spearheaded this, and when she first got here, there wasn't even a committee, so
Yeah.
the idea that we have a committee that has rules and, I just honestly, on a side note, the second action point that I'm hearing is after-school programs for kids, such as pickup basketball.
Mhm.
We had talked about it. I fortunately played golf with a guy who was a head coach at Whitman Hanson basketball.
Mhm.
And he has high school kids play that don't play on the basketball team. And sometimes the coaches, he watches these kids play
Mhm.
because, sometimes kids and freshmen, they're this tall and then they get this tall. And all of a sudden, they didn't make the freshman team, but he's seeing them pick up basketball.
Sure, yeah.
So those are some of the things that I'm really excited, and hopefully we can work on
Yeah,
going forward, because I think, back to, mental health and wellness and getting kids involved in anything. If a kid can't make a team, then we should make them, maybe they can be the announcer, maybe they can run the scoreboard. But I think that we really need to nail down on the kids that aren't participating in sports, and
Yeah.
how can we get them off their computers?
Keep
With the
diversifying our
yeah,
activities.
there was a lot of talk. We did have a lot of talk about some of the other ideas, so it'll be really
Yeah.
exciting when we come together. So
Yeah.
we will meet again, we'll meet 4 times
Yep.
as a whole committee, but then within that, we'll have small subgroups that will work on some of the goals. We'll probably pick another 2 or 3 for
Yeah.
next year. And then, we'll have subcommittee meetings in between
Yeah.
those other larger meetings. A larger group, it's probably about 18 people, so it's a big group.
Yeah, it's probably better if we do Zoom and face.
Yeah, I
We could
think
do
we can.
both, I think we'd get more. Because it
Yeah.
is hard to get everybody, got 18 people.
Yeah, it's a lot. So
It's a lot.
anyway, so we're
Those
gonna. work
Polys
on-
are gonna become very popular with.
Yeah,
for
seagulls.
public schools.
I know. So very exciting, so
Yeah.
thank you for that,
That's great.
to be able to share that.
Thank you, Dr. Scoggins, Mr. Kearney. But the only update is just in connection with superintendent, from me anyway, in connection with superintendent evaluation committee, I will formally announce that we have very fortunately and eagerly reached a contract with our superintendent of schools for the upcoming cycle. And Dr. Patrick Sullivan, who we found to be exemplary as of the last evaluation cycle, has agreed to serve as the Cohasset Superintendent of Schools for the next 3 years, and we're very lucky to have him, so thank you so much. And,
Honored to be in that position, so thank you.
and don't stop clapping, Dr. Scoggins, because Dr. Scoggins has also, we've also reached a contract and agreement with her, and we are lucky to have Dr. Scoggins as our Assistant Superintendent for the next 3 years as well. I'm just very proud that, first of all, I love working with these 2 people. I'm so glad that we have both of you at the helm of our district. And I think we have amazing things to look forward to in the next contract cycle, where we don't have to be completely debilitated and distracted by a pandemic. I can already see the enthusiasm building for the upcoming school year. It's already happening now during the current school year. And generally, it's just, it's a really fortunate thing to be able to boast that you have superintendent, assistant superintendent with doctorate degrees. Not many school districts have that. So we are lucky to have you, and we appreciate you. So thank you.
Mr. McClellan, if I could also announce, we have come to terms with our high school team. So our Principal Scott will be back for 3 years, hopefully more. And we have Assistant Principal Noyes signed. And then I have, and also Principal Mills has agreed. So we have, what's that?
And we have Principal Mills.
Yep.
And Principal Scott and Principal Farrell.
Well, I haven't received, I believe so.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I'm anticipating that. But I've actually had, we just finalized a bunch of them, but I have the ones that are signed right now are Principal Scott, Principal Noyes,
Okay.
Principal Mills, and I anticipate the others.
Still happening.
Yeah.
It was after yours. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Very blessed.
well, yes, that's great news. So, we will be, well, let me just say, there's approval of minutes is the next agenda item. I don't think there are any additional updates, right? So we'll move to the next agenda item, which is approval of minutes. We don't have any approval minutes to approve. There is a backlog. And our current secretary, Lydia St. Ange, and myself will be working to completely eradicate that backlog within the next month. So we will be approving a large set of minutes. It's just something that we fell behind on this year, but it is not something that we don't deem important, and we will absolutely do it. So we're going to take care of that. I've been talking to Ms. St. Ange about that, and we anticipate coming current on that in the near future. There is a topic not reasonably anticipated by the chair within 48 hours of the meeting, and that is a gift from two different families. And I will turn to Ms. Owen to sort of articulate it in a little bit more detail,
Sure.
summarize it.
So here at the high school, the students and staff have created a high school investment club. So several of the parents, Matthew and Kelly Gretsch, and
I
Laurie,
believe it's correct.
correct, I'm sorry,
Yes. Yep, no worries.
Laurie and Bruce Wimberley.
Wimberley.
Wimberley, yeah.
Are the two families that donated money. And what will happen is the students in the investment club, they want them to be able to actually invest money in real time to see how it really works in the real world. So thank you very much for the gift. It's a total of $2,000 to get them started.
Great.
And I believe there's several students that have already, part of the club that they're gonna each get a $500 check, I believe, and they're gonna start investing and see how much money they can make.
Love it.
So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Owen. Are there any questions for Ms. Owen relative to the gift? Okay, are there any objections to treating these two gifts as a package for the purposes of vote as they are dedicated to the same purpose? Okay, is there a motion on the floor to accept the gift as articulated by Ms. Owen?
So,
Motion's been made by Mr. Kearney. Is there a second?
second.
Seconded by Mr. Carr. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion clearly passes by a majority vote of 3 members. So the gift is accepted. Thank you to the Grech family and the Wimberley family for your generosity and your thoughtfulness to ensure that our students have an enriching education surrounding investments.
And what's the name of that program? This, is this
It's
the?
a high school investment
Investment
club.
club.
Okay, because I did get, remember, a parent asked me if we have any kind of financial.
Yes.
So
we do,
this
yes.
is it's an investment club?
Mhm. And we do have a program we offer in financial literacy yearly that I know we'll do it again next year. It's financial literacy
Yeah.
for life, I think it's called.
For life?
Financial literacy for life. It's a program where we invite
There's companies that come in.
companies,
banks,
bankers.
Yeah,
real estate
Realtors,
agents.
Yeah,
yes.
I did
Fiscal
participate in my old high school to
Correct.
do that, but they give you X amount of dollars and you have to
Yeah,
buy
it's every
insurance.
random-
So, yeah,
You get
and they
a
usually
job.
have it at a nice restaurant or something that, yeah.
It's a nice
that-
program.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's coming back or is that?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
No, that's great. He'll be fired up. That's great. That's great. I'm fired
It's a
up.
great program.
Because it really is. It really teaches kids of, where, because, they teach them how to add and subtract. They should learn the financial.
Agreed.
Ms. Owen, did you mention that you had something else?
I do, just one more thing, that we did have a budget and facilities subcommittee meeting,
Yeah,
that I wanted to mention only because we've mentioned it multiple times, trying to get a meeting to sit down with DPW. So we did finally have that meeting.
Thank you, DPW.
It was very productive.
I didn't notice any leaves on the way in, but go ahead. I'm
You
sorry.
did.
We got rid of them.
Yeah, you know what?
Make sure they were
I'm
gone.
like, how come I didn't complain on the way in?
So
They were
it was
gone.
really a matter of
Getting there.
kind of defining and understanding responsibilities. So the leaves and the immediate landscaping around the immediate outside of the buildings and sidewalks and entrances, we now know our responsibility. The custodians are happy to take it on. What we're really
Thank you,
doing right
custodians.
now is we've got to purchase a few electric lawnmowers and some weed whackers. We can borrow from the DPW for now. But we're coming up with a plan and a schedule of when all that's gonna happen. So that, I mean, that's the good news. I wanted to mention that only because I know several times we mentioned that we were reaching out and not getting a response, and we did finally have a meeting with them.
And we really formally delineated responsibilities, and, you know, we could bring that to another level and do MOU or whatever if needed, but we feel very good about our partnership. And now it's just, a lot of it is kind of cleaning up our house here.
Yeah.
You know, you've seen improvements in the inside, we're gonna look to make sure we have the same improvements.
You know, I just also want to sue it. That was incredible. You really, you stayed on it, and Lance was,
Good job, yeah.
was,
It was Pat.
yeah, it was a good,
Pat related the meeting.
yeah, well, you know, hey, but you tried for weeks and
Not at
weeks
all.
and
No, no,
weeks,
you-
and-
it was
and
super
you,
good.
you know, and you were like, yeah, I felt we were like a team of
Yeah.
like, we're on our own little raft and no one was listening to us, but you know what, at the end of the day, you pulled it all
Yeah,
together.
and they were, and the DPW, I just want to thank them again, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah,
wonderful
it was a great meeting.
Yeah, it really
It
was.
was
Very
good to get
productive.
clarification.
Should have been done like 15 years ago. You got-
Probably.
Well, the important thing is that it got done, and that we're moving
Yeah,
forward, so.
check the box. That's all we had to do.
All right, with that said, we will be, as you know, we just had an election, and I was gonna formally introduce Mr. Carr at the next meeting, because we're gonna be
Yes.
reorganizing at the next meeting. Traditionally, the school committee reorganizes soon after the town election. Mrs. Caleri, as we know, is no longer on the board. Mr. Carr has replaced her, so we need to shift. We don't currently have a vice chair person, so we will be doing that at the next school committee meeting. And I wanted to let everyone know about that. We will also be setting the dates for school committee meetings for the upcoming academic year.
Yep.
And we will also be reviewing our subcommittee and liaison assignment positions and roles. And discussing what, if any, subcommittees we want to delete, or what, if any, subcommittees we would like to add. So just letting everyone know that's going to happen the next meeting. It'll be published on the agenda, obviously. And with that said, I do, as I noted at the beginning of the meeting, I do want to move into an emergency executive session for reason number 4, which is to discuss the deployment of security personnel or devices or strategies with respect thereto. And then after that executive session, we'll be adjourning the meeting. So if you're watching virtually, which is the only people that are watching would be virtually right now, you can feel free to log off because you won't miss any substantive part of the meeting. We're just going to move into executive session and then adjourning right from there. So thank you, everyone, for participating and for viewing this. And we wish you a wonderful evening and weekend.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to move into executive session at this time for the purpose of statement? Motion's been made by Mr. Carr. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Kearney. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, so we'll move into executive session and we'll suspend the regular meeting. Thank you.